And we are live.
We are live at 7:30 in the morning on Thursday. The Hunt for Success. Cody Steinman and Ryan McCracken. We're here today with Aaron Coker.
Thanks for having me, gentlemen. I love this place.
Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, this is crazy. I mean, I got here a couple, but not quite CP time, but a couple minutes early, and had a chance to walk around, and very, very, very impressive.
Well, and we can walk around a little bit afterwards too. We talked about this in the last one, but it's always interesting to see people's reaction when they walk in. And yours was good. A lot of people are overwhelmed, and but taking the time to go around and look at each animal.
It's odd, in awe.
It's odd and
well, I just can't. Not odd, but AWED. Just I was in awe. I was crazy. Yeah.
Well, it is a true museum, and he has lots of events here. We've raised, like I was telling you earlier, raised millions of dollars for animal conservation here. So it's one of those hidden gems that not a lot of people know about in Vancouver. So for those of you who don't know, Aaron works with Ryan and I for almost a year. Mm-hmm. And you've been in the mortgage industry since?
Full time since 2001, and then a couple years before that. So I've been doing this pretty much my whole life.
Well, I think you're the first loan officer that we've had on, because this show isn't really about mortgages. Mm-hmm. It's not about self-promotion or anything. But the main reason I was excited to get you on is because it seems like discipline comes natural to you. Mm-hmm. And I know that's probably not the case, that you've had to work at it. And you're also a coach with Core Coaching. Mm-hmm. And so I was hoping that maybe we can talk about kind of how you keep your discipline and how you make it look so easy. The other thing I want to talk about is how you stay so focused on the basics. Mm-hmm. Because I think one of my downfalls is I'm always distracted by the shiny things, mm-hmm. by, let's have this person come in and do a presentation, or I'm going to do this video, or I'm going to do these things. And what you do see some high producers doing, but I never hear you talking about those things. I always hear you talking about the daily disciplines, the phone call, the work-life balance. So how did you get to this point?
It's having a reason to do it, I think, is what it comes down to. So why do you get up in the morning? It's very cliche, I suppose, but you have to have a reason why you're going to put yourself through the pain, and it is painful. I mean, if you ask anybody who's successful, they experience some sort of pain along the way to get to where they are. And if you can embrace that pain and enjoy it as much as possible and just compartmentalize it possibly, things are going to be good. But it's just why, what do you want? What do you want out of this job? What do you want out of life? And then once you can figure that out, it makes the hard work a little easier to swallow.
So maybe dive deeper into that. Did you go through an exercise to kind of plan that out? Because I know like Building Champions has a whole life plan you write out, mm-hmm. right? Where I think it was Brian Reynolds would say, go to your quiet place mm-hmm. and peaceful place and kind of plan out.
So for me, it's you always want, I mean, we can go, it's not about work. It's about kind of how you live your life, I suppose. And for me, you always want to be the best, right? Personally, that's how I kind of live. But sometimes you're just not. Right? It's not in the cards. You don't do what it takes, or you just don't have the ability. But you keep trying. All right, you don't quit. You fail, but you don't quit. So in being in the business, you see the people who are doing really, really well, and you always wonder, okay, why can't I do that? What's my problem? What's the difference between me and them? Really nothing. I mean, there's really no difference other than they do the work that I wasn't willing to do. So when I look back, let's go back to probably 2012, 2012, that's about right, 2012, 2013. And if I'm looking back that far, most of my business was refinance. So it's probably 75% refinance, 25% purchase. I really didn't know what a realtor was. I mean, honestly, I only had a couple realtors that I work with, and the purchases that I did do were people that I knew or past clients. And I knew that wasn't a sustainable model. And somebody had mentioned the Core, somebody mentioned Rick Ruby to me and was raving about him. We're just saying he's a crazy lunatic. So I went on YouTube and I Googled Rick Ruby and looked him up and watched the video, and like, this guy speaks my language. No nonsense, no BS. He just, fucking go to work and get the job done. So I started kind of following that model the core model, doing it on my own, probably towards the end of 2013. I was fortunate enough to get accepted into coaching in 2014, I think. So the end of 2014 got accepted, started getting coached because I'm coming up on my 5-year. And then that just forced me to do things completely differently. So, you figure out your why. It wasn't the Building Champions thing where you sit down and you go to your quiet place, like you mentioned, and you kumbaya it and you write down all the little things you want and this and that. That's not my thing. That's not my jam, right? I just want, okay, how can I do more loans? Okay, how can I save more money? How can I help my family? And how can I give more money to charity? That's pretty much what it comes down to. So with the core, they gave me that model. They gave me that roadmap, if you will. So I think any successful athlete, business person, you need a mentor in life to get to where you want to be. Mm-hmm. And that was kind of my mentor. I can't say I really have any mentors per se, but just that model, the core model would be my mentor in business of just doing the same thing every Monday, the same thing every Tuesday, Wednesday, so on and so forth. And just forcing yourself. I mean, I can think back to some of the best agents I had. I would call and call and call and call for months on end, every week, no answer. And then eventually they picked up the phone and I was there to help. And now we're great friends and we've done a lot of deals together and we've helped a lot of people buy houses. So just that persistence and that willingness not to quit, because it's really easy to quit. I mean, it's really easy to quit. Mm-hmm. Right? But it's not easy to, once you fail, to keep failing until you find that success. So I think the difference between the people who are successful are the ones who are willing to fail and continue to fail, knowing that eventually that failure will lead to a success.
So we'll go back a little bit. Do you have something, Ryan?
I was just going to interject and say that our first guest ever was Doug Mendenhall, who is a great success story too. Mm-hmm. And what made me think of that was the whole failing. And that's one of his biggest attributes, I think, is just like those. He's like, it takes like 5 iterations of like whatever you're trying to do, fail. Finally, you succeed.
Mm-hmm. Well, and when you're talking about calling agents, and so for those people that aren't in our industry, real estate agents can be a big source of business, right? Mm-hmm. As far as referrals, but just sticking with it. And I think that was a really good analogy comparing him to Doug. But Doug would always take one iteration and then make a change, and then another iteration, make a change. And it sounds like you weren't doing a lot of that. It was just about doing the consistency every time. I'm sure there was changes and growths and scripts in the
Absolutely.
way you started your conversations.
Yeah. It's confidence too. You got to go in with confidence. You got to believe. I believe I'm the best at what I do, and if I didn't have that belief, I wouldn't be able to provide the service that I provide and give the advice that I give to my clients. If I went in there thinking, I'm at record A, there's probably somebody who can do a better job than I can do, and you've already kind of lost.
So what comes first, the high level of success and production, or that swagger and confidence? Because you definitely have confidence. That's not one of your issues, right?
No, that's not.
When we have a meeting and there's 20 people in the room, you're definitely one of the most confident people in the room, and kind of carry yourself a certain way. Mm-hmm. What started first?
Probably, I would say self-confidence. I mean, once you have the production, it backs up the confidence. But you have to believe in yourself. I believe in, I think Ryan does too. And look good, feel good, play good. Back in college, got to be spatted up, shoes taped up, white socks, pulled to the knees. I mean, you're looking fresh when you go out there on the field. You're feeling good, then you're going to play well. Right? It's the same thing with this business. You look good, you feel good, you're going to play good. So I think just that self-confidence comes before the anything else, and having that self-confidence.
And when you were started coaching and you were doing things outside of your comfort zone, did you find yourself having to work at keeping your confidence up?
There's days. I mean, even probably this week where you're going, shit, man. Ugh. Yeah. You're just doing that, right? Where you're thinking to yourself, what am I going to do? And the business isn't here. But then it's just, I talked to Ryan about this. If you just do the positive activity, positive results will come. I don't know how it works. And the activity is not necessarily going to lead to the results you're looking for, but you're making phone calls, you're helping people, you're just there to be a servant for your sphere. And all of a sudden, somebody will call you out of the blue. Not even related to the activity you've been doing. Mm-hmm. So, I truly believe that if you just do the work, good things will happen.
So, if it's all right, let's go back and talk about core coaching a little bit. You said something. We've talked about coaching a lot on this podcast. We've had coaches on here, but you said something that's never come up before, and that's when I was accepted into coaching. So normally coaching's the other way. Like they're selling you on.
Come with us.
Yeah.
We're the best. Give us your money. Yeah. No, the core is completely different in that it's all about business. Number one. So it's all about making more money, saving more money, giving away more money. Those are 3 tenets. Those are 3 things we track every month. But it's not for everybody. Okay, because you're going to have people who want to be part of a group, but they're not willing to do the work that it takes to stay in that group and to be, at the top of the game. You know, in this industry, there's a lot of people, a lot of licensed people that do what we do, and they maybe do one deal every quarter, right? But to be at the top of the food chain and be a part of the core, you have to go to an event and you have to spend $3 or $4 grand just to go to that event. And then when you're at the event, you have to fill out write a little essay as to why they should accept you. And then all the coaches get together and they read the essays and they start figuring out who they're going to accept and who they're not going to accept. So it's a process. Yeah, it's a process.
So Brian and I started doing core coaching, kind of like a entry level lift off, is I think what they're calling it, right? One, I didn't know if I was going to like it or not because I've been doing coaching for a couple years, but it was a lot different style. And one thing that I'm liking about the coaching is Ryan's taking some pictures for later.
Got to do behind the scenes, man.
It's funny because we know he's taking pictures, and you're the first one to break, to break and look at him.
So I go the fourth wall, like a little Deadpool.
But what I like about it is, like I said, I get kind of distracted. I get distracted by adding work that isn't necessarily lead to direct production, but you can't manipulate your coach because they definitely coach within the framework. And it was easy with past coaches to say, I really want to go after Intel and develop this big relationship with Intel. And so they would sidetrack our whole plan and we would work around this big project. And then the focus that got lost are those daily routines, right?
Absolutely.
And that daily accountability. And so that's what I'm liking it is that you really can't manipulate it, and we kind of feel like, or I can't speak for Ryan, but I kind of feel like they're trying to break you a little bit into the system. And one thing that I've heard you say a little bit lately is you just got to surrender.
Yeah, absolutely.
So maybe talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I think there's one gentleman that was his big thing, that he's one of the top coaches in the core, probably one of the highest earners. He actually works with Cross Country Mortgage, who we work for. And his big thing was when he first got in that he could do it better. He could find a better way to do it. So we can implement this, but no, I'm not going to do that. I can do this. My way works. And he wasn't getting the success he wanted, right? He kept on trying to do it his way, and they wanted to kick him out, and they wanted to get rid of him. And I can do it this way. This way is going to work. My way's better, right? You can't. Don't reinvent the wheel. There may be little tweaks here and there to improve the system, but overall, just do the work. So until he actually surrendered, he wasn't doing anything. But the fact that he's surrendered now, I mean, he just crushes it, and he's got a great business that he runs, and he implements. So the 2 key things are surrender and implement. Those are the 2 key things. So if you can surrender to the process, track your results, and then if you can implement, you don't have to implement everything, because we've all gone to conferences and sales mastery or whatever your line of work is, and you go there and you come home and you're feeling all jazzed, and you have a list of 50 things, but you don't do anything because you got a list of 50 things. If you can just take 1 thing off that list or 2 things off that list and implement them, change your business, start doing it, you're going to see results. And then you go again in 6 months, and you come back and you take 2 more things, you implement them, all right, and then 2 more, and so on and so forth. That's how you really grow. Just baby steps. There's no tortoise in the hare. I mean, it's so true. And in the society we live in today, we want everything right now. It's just crazy how things have changed. I mean, we grew up in the 80s, all of us, I think, here. If you want to call someone, you had to get that damn rotary phone, and if you had a bunch of zeros in that phone and you screwed it up, you had to start all the way over in that phone number. It's people have no idea what it was like, and even before that, I couldn't imagine grow up in the 60s or 50s. And
I just did that. I was in Hermiston at a little hunting cabin, and the only phone they had was a rotary phone attached to the wall. and there was no cell service. So I had to call. I wanted to call and check in with my wife.
Oh, yeah.
It took me like 8 times.
Oh, to get it right?
To get the phone number right.
Did you have a calling card that you
Yeah.
used?
Oh,
or-
you were at college back in the day? You get the calling cards, or you have get the phone bill come in with your roommates, and everybody divvy it up. And who called this number? What number is this?
Who called long distance?
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
that was great.
Well, my short-term memory's gotten so bad because I think we're all on our devices all the time.
Oh, yeah.
That I'd get to like the 7th digit and then forget where I was in the phone number. I have to start over again.
Yeah.
So, at any point, do people outgrow coaching? I mean, because core focuses on the basics so much. At what point are you like, I have the basics down?
I'd say just Tom Brady outgrow Bill Belichick. Yeah, probably not. I don't like either of them because I'm a Rams fan, so I'm a little bitter right now. But no, you always need someone to hold you accountable. So without that accountability, some people can hold themselves accountable, and I think some people can outgrow coaching. But a lot of times, what you'll find is if you don't have that accountability in place, you're going to go back to your old ways.
So let me ask you this: is accountability important to you? And has it been before coaching? And I know you do a lot of stuff like you talked about outside of work, like your cycling and exercising and CrossFit that takes a lot of discipline. Do you find that you try to put accountability?
Use CrossFit loosely. Ryan's over there laughing. Coker.
He could barely sit down when he came in this morning.
No comment.
Yeah.
I guess what I'm trying to say is we've had I've asked a lot of guests on that. 'Cause we've had really successful CEOs, high producers,
Olympians.
and I would normally ask that question. Are you somebody that requires a lot of accountability? And I was kind of surprised. I thought everybody would say yes, and we have accountability partners, and I got somebody that calls me and makes sure I'm at the gym and blah blah. But it was over half, I think, would say no. I'm a pretty self-accountable people, and these are really high-level producers.
I think self-starters, people who have a vision on where they want to go, they have that ability to do what it takes. But the average Joe needs that accountability. Everybody's a little bit different, but I do think having some layer of accountability, just telling someone, like, hey, I want to do this, and letting someone know, and they can check in with you and say, hey, have you done that? Right? That makes a big difference. Because not everybody can. I mean, discipline's tough. I mean, it's tough. Just stick with it. It's tough. I don't know how you do it, Ryan. Get up at the crack of dawn. I mean, that's crazy. Just 4:30. What time are you getting up?
4:15.
That's REM. My eyes are
And he was doing that before Jocko would text or Instagram a picture of his watch every day, right?
Yeah, but Jocko, really, I was like, all right, if he can do it, I can do it. It really pushed me for sure.
Yeah. So there's that certain segment of the population where it's not the majority, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm. So do you find yourself in the I need accountability or
no, I don't. I think I'm a more of a if I want to do something, I'm going to do it type of guy. Yeah, I'm just gonna if it's I put my mind to it and I'll figure out a way to do it.
So let's talk about team building a little bit. Because you've put together a pretty impressive team and a system, and I think you've derived most of that from the core.
It's like a commercial for the core. They should be paying us, right?
Well, we don't have a sponsor yet. No, but seriously, I want to hear, and this is a question I haven't asked you, is maybe talk about a little of the obstacles and adversity you went through developing your team, because you've had assistants and loan officer assistants and processors your whole career, right?
Not my whole career, no. Okay. Not until probably 2012-ish. I think is when I had somebody working. Maybe 2011. That's when I had someone working for me.
And how long did it take you to get to the point where your team and your systems were dialed to the point where they're at now?
A long time. A long time. A lot of failure. So this is where you actually need someone to help you if you don't have any experience. I just think that it's what's the term? It's quick to fire, slow to hire. I was quick to hire, slow to fire in a lot of cases. Just you hire someone just to fill a role because you need someone to fill that role. So if I think back, how many people did I have working with us before we got to this point? I think it's probably going to be. I'm avoiding saying names. I want to say, because I'm not easy to work with. I'm very demanding. I have a certain standard that that my standard needs to be met, and it's usually a little bit higher than but people understand that. I would say 6 people 6 or 7 maybe that I've worked with over the years before I got to the team that I have right now. It's not, and you got to have the right personalities. You can't, a lot of people will hire themselves. You can't hire yourself because then you're not going to.
So I want to talk about all that, but you said something really interesting that you have a high standard, right? That everyone has to meet. But how do you do that and keep morale up and have the respect where you're not being a jerk? Because we've all worked with people that are demanding bosses, but they're kind of assholes, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's a small percentage of those leaders can execute both.
I just think you said it, respect. So you have to respect your employees, but you also, as the leader, need to explain, this is my process, this is how I have to do it. And you also have to walk the walk. So if I'm going to ask them to do something, it's got to be something I'm willing to do. Okay, I can't expect them to do all the work and me just to sit back on my ass and do nothing. That's not how I roll. Okay, I'm in the trenches. I'm doing the dirty work. We joke that whenever there's a tough call to be made, I need to go home and get my tough call blazer. I got this it's kind of an eggplant jacket, purplish corduroy. It's pretty tight, and it's got these elbow patches on it. So we always joke around, you better go home and get your tough call blazer to make this phone call. So I will always fall on the sword for my team. It's never going to be the team's fault. I'm the leader, and even if they screw up and they make a big mistake, it's always on me. And that's what any leader, I think any good leader should do. I think Jocko mentions it, and yeah. There you go. Just Jocko, own it. Medication. Wake up early. So yeah, you got to earn the respect by backing up what you say. Yeah.
So maybe talk about some of the obstacles and learning opportunities you had when you went through 6 support staff.
I think it's just not understanding how to communicate with them. So communication's key in business and in life and in relationships and friendships. If you don't communicate, things aren't going to go well. So not communicating, not setting the expectations up front. So just in having, I joke that they should be able to read my mind, right? You should know what I'm thinking. And a lot of times they can to this point because we've been together for a few years now. But before, I think it in my head, and it just kind of moves so quickly that I don't get it out to verbalize it, and then I get frustrated because they can't understand what I want them to do. So for me, it's a matter of slowing down and communicating as opposed to just taking it from them and doing it because they didn't do it. So I'd say communication is a key to overcome a lot of the obstacles that you have, and then understanding the individual, understanding. Big fan of the DISC profile. Big fan of love languages. It's great if you've never done the 5 languages of love.
I've never done that one.
Oh, you got to do it. It's great. It's good. There's a show called I'm Sorry. It's on Netflix. It's kind of like the female version of Larry David, Curb Your Enthusiasm. Okay. But they did a little bit on the love language, and my wife and I have done a little love language test. And it's so true. You got to understand that for me, it's acts of service. So if I come home and the dishes are done or the house is cleaned or something like that, that just makes my day, right? This makes my life so much easier. For my wife, it's quality time. So we could be sitting in the same room on the opposite ends of the couch, not talking to each other, but for her, that's quality time. I think there was a couple nights ago I really like ice cream, like salt and straw ice cream. I'm a big fan.
What's up, Brian?
The computer isn't plugged in.
Oh, you lose power?
There's a power cord in my laptop bag. I might have critical failure here.
I'm going to do something we've never done. I'm just going to hit pause real quick.
I've never paused it before.
There you go.
We've never paused it before.
All right. Well, he's always been really, really generous and generous to us, letting us do this here.
Yeah, we're back.
Where did we leave off?
Oh, I was talking about ice cream. Ice cream.
Oh, yeah. Before you dive deep, can you pull up the love languages? I want to see all the different ones.
Yeah, okay.
So this is kind of like the DISC profile where you take a test and it tells you what your love language is.
You got your primary love language, then secondary, tertiary, so on and so forth. I don't know what comes after tertiary, quaternary, and quintiary.
And this is also that the other person knows.
So they know what your love language is, so they can communicate with you. And you can do it online. I don't know, you guys, can they see this? Or
yeah, I'm gonna put it on screen capture.
Okay.
Here. So we have the 5 love languages.
Yeah, words of affirmation, gifts, and doing little things. Acts of service, that's mine. Quality time, that's my wife's. Physical touch, and doesn't have to be. This is a PG show, so I don't want to.
It doesn't have to be
PG-13 sexual intercourse.
Yeah.
Pat on the back, that type of thing.
Gotcha.
But there, you should be able to. I think maybe this right here. If you click on that, you could do the test online instead of reading the book.
So we're on 5lovelanguages.com.
Yeah, there you go. Big couples quiz.
Oh, it looks just like disc. It's got
Yep.
the 4 different colors.
There you go. Perfect.
Oh, they have a couples quiz,
Yeah.
teens quiz, singles quiz, children's quiz. Oh man.
It's pretty legit too. It's funny how these things work. There's the science behind them.
So you're applying this to part of your team building too?
Oh yeah. So on our I got this from my coach, but on our desk, my desk, there's a little postcard size piece of heavy stock. It's got my disc profile on it, and it's got my love language, and I think it's got another one that they dug up, had me take my team apology language, and it's got my birth date and my anniversary on there. So we all know how to communicate with each other within the team. So it's funny, my two team members are pretty much mirror images of each other, but then I'm completely opposite of them, which works out well.
Well, and we did, to be fair, we did a test, like 2.5 years ago with our team.
Did you guys do a love language test?
No, but like our whole office took a test, and
We did the Strength Finders test.
and it
Oh, yes.
really, like, as soon as like we found out, like, okay, our processor is this, and just like the way the communication happened after that it was incredible how accurate it was.
The breakthrough for us, and maybe this is true with the love language too, was understanding when somebody's over operating in their strength.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and to understand that they're not doing it on purpose. They're just maybe their strength is futuristic or vision, right? So they're over operating in that, and they're forgetting all the little details, or the opposite, where they get so stuck into the details that they're not looking at the big picture.
Yeah.
So I would imagine there's probably some similarities with the love language too. So everyone, does everyone have one of those cards on their desk? I've never noticed.
Just on my team.
Just on your
Yeah,
team?
just my team. Yeah, we've done it. But I got to tell my ice cream story, okay? This is great.
All right, tell the ice cream
Okay,
story.
so I have a penchant for tissue, Ryan? Like a little, or just, I'm okay.
I think there's paper towels in there.
My nose is running. Damn kids get me sick.
Tell your ice cream story.
So yeah, I'll tell my ice cream story. So big fan of ice cream, salt and straw. All right, so we'll get salt and straw, the pints in the fridge or freezer, excuse me. And my wife went back to bed, and I just sat down in the kitchen, and I got one out and had a bite, and you know how one bite turns into two, and then all of a sudden the thing's done.
Yeah.
So I put it in the garbage, and I thought to myself, maybe I should put it a little deeper in the garbage. So it's right on top of the garbage can. And then she goes in the morning, and she throws something away in the kitchen. She looks at it, and she sees it. And then she goes, you had ice cream without me? If you wanted ice cream, you could have opened the fridge and the freezer and got your own ice cream and come and sat. No, you didn't tell me. You could have sat down with me and had ice cream. So that right there tells me, okay, she just wants the quality time. So sitting there having a bite of ice cream is more important to her than me not saying, hey, come have ice cream.
So was that before or after you read this book?
Oh, no, this was just the other day.
Just the other day.
This was a couple days ago. I think it was Monday night. No, it was Sunday night. It was Sunday night. Yeah.
Because you got like 4 words into that, and I just stopped listening. You know, because that's what I would do. Just, what?
Yeah.
Well, cool. I'm gonna look into that. Because we have a fairly new team, and going through the growing pains and trying to develop a system and transition, and maybe let's talk about. Can we talk about transition a little bit?
Sure.
Because our companies went through a transition. We all went through it together. How come it seems like it was so easy for you? So I haven't heard any pain, any struggles, any like, hey, this is what I did to overcome this. It was like you didn't skip a beat.
Oh, there's pain, but you just got to mask it. I'm sitting right here right now, and my knee is killing me, but I'm masking it. You got to deal with it. So
It's not like we're standing.
yeah. You deal with what you work with the hand you're dealt with. So you just have to deal with it. I can sit there and I can complain. I can talk about how bad things are and how the system sucks and nobody's getting things done and nothing's moving. But what's that going to do? It's going to make me feel good just for a little bit, but it's not going to solve the problem. So I really try to focus on, even in life, in business too, but okay, we know what the problem is. What's the solution? Let's focus on the solution. Because if you're focusing on the problem, what are you focusing on? You're focusing on the past. Okay, the solution's the present. So I can only control what I can control, which is right now. I don't know what's going to happen an hour from now, tomorrow. All right, it's just focus on the now. So you can't let it get to you, because if you let it get to you, then it creates paralysis, and then you do nothing, and then you're getting away from your daily disciplines, and then all of a sudden you're stuck in that rut where you've got no business because you've been focusing on that one transaction. It's got to go. It's got to go. I mean, for example, just yesterday we had a transaction that It was a lot of hair on it, but I'm very, very happy that it worked itself out. But it was a 3 or 4 day of trying to find a way to make it work, and we found a way to make it work. Single mother, first house. I mean, awesome. We got what we needed yesterday, and I was so very I was elated when I saw the email. I couldn't believe it. I sent out an Oprah meme. You know, Oprah, where Oprah's going like this, and then you can put the little the little captions on there. So I sent one of those out. That's how excited I was. But if I would have just sat there and dwelled on that for the last 3 days, I would have got nothing done at all. And I wouldn't have done the prospecting that I needed to do, make the phone calls, do the analyses, meet with new clients, meet with new agents. None of that would have been done because I would have been focusing on that one problem.
And how big of a part of that was your team being able to trust that they can handle that while you go out and work? Because it's all about balancing.
Yeah. At that point, the team was already out of it, and it was more of a corporate team helping out at that level. So, but my team, I trust them to get the job done. So we'll meet on a daily basis, and that's one of the key things I think that has allowed us to not. You just tackle what needs to be tackled every day, and that's how you avoid having issues throughout the process because everybody knows what they need to do. Just do your job, things will work out, and I trust you to do your job. If you're not going to do your job, let's have a conversation. But again, I'm working hard, they're working hard. So there's that level of respect there. They don't want to disappoint me, and I don't want to disappoint them.
Good. What kind of questions do you have, Ryan? What do you want to talk about?
I want to talk about how you got started on your radio show.
Oh, radio show. Hey, taking me way back there.
Yeah,
That was
before I knew you, I heard the radio show at like 6 in the morning on a Sunday.
Crack of dawn. Yeah, that was our replay.
So
So
driving through the gorge.
it was the most important hour of radio here on AM 620. Oh, the Aaron Coker show. That's taking me back. That was boy. So
Was it called the Aaron Coker Show?
I think it may have been. God, this was 3-4 years ago when I last did that. Maybe 4 years ago. It was fun. I'm sure, like for you guys, the first time you did this, you're just nervous, reading everything word for word on your script, and then it was recorded. So if you could flub, you could go back. And we had a great producer, Rod McLaughlin, love the guy. So we had a lot of fun with it. But I just got into it. I went to one of those big conferences and they were talking about radio, so I was like, well, check it out. And it was more so, it really didn't generate much business. What it did is solidified my relationship with my personal financial planner. He came on the show. We started doing it together, and then he took it over for the last year or so. So it wasn't really a revenue generator like it was marketed as, but it was fun for us, and we got our name out there a little bit. Just more financial stuff. We like to have a lot of fun, kind of goof around. We'd have little bits. I think it was a half an hour. Was it a half an hour show? I don't know. You listened to it probably more than I did. I think it was an hour.
It
was an hour. Yeah, it was an hour. Yeah, that's right. Because we had the commercial break. Something. Yeah, because it's the most important hour of radio here on every Saturday at noon.
What about like the preparation that just went into each
Holy
episode?
Toledo! My God, that was the hardest part. Is the prep work. It was a half day of out of the business because you had to drive there in the morning, get to the studio, you record, which is fun, and then you're driving back. But then prepping the night before, you're staying up late, you're doing all the research, you're reading articles. I mean, it's in to figure, okay, what am I going to talk about? So eventually we got to the point where we had little segments. So we knew what each segment was going to be about. And then you just get the content to fill the segment and go from there. And then my producer, our producer, I should say, Rod, he was, again, awesome. So we would do trivia bits, big fan of trivia. So he would do the trivia for us and just have a lot of fun with it and not take it too seriously. But it was a good experience. I don't know if I'd ever do it again. Radio's a dying beast, right?
Podcast.
Evidence right now. We're doing a podcast.
Yeah. It seems like there's probably lessons learned there. I know there's lessons learned on this show that we can apply. But one thing we've been talking about recently on this podcast, and I don't know if I'm thinking too much into it, but it seems like if you can find activities to do outside of work that require a similar skill set or a similar discipline or learning curve, that it almost feels like it's steel sharpening steel, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So maybe talk about when you got into cycling and CrossFit and some of the stuff you do there. And
again, use CrossFit loosely. Okay, I just want to clarify that.
I thought you guys started a competition.
We did. Some of us finished it, and some of us didn't. We're not going to say who.
But I mean, do you think that is that intentional? That
Absolutely.
You do?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think there's definitely a correlation between how you run your business life and how you run your personal life / activities, hobbies. So it's all about having a plan. So for me, when it comes to cycling, I was a big guy. If I'm going to do something, I want to do it well. I don't want to half-ass it. I don't want to show up and just. Some people like to go out there and hey, I'm just going to ride the race and just have fun. That's just not me. I want to do what I can to win or help my team win or do the best I can. All right. I tell my daughter, she's and one of my twins is in gymnastics. And gymnastics is pretty much an individual sport. So you can't focus on what the other girls are doing out there. I just tell her, hey, don't do the best. Just do your best. Okay? If your best is good enough, fantastic. If it's not good enough, that's okay. You did your best. And keep working hard, and she understands that. And we had a meet this weekend, we meeting her. I'm a gymnastics dad and a dance dad. It's awesome. And she was able to get it was a state meet, and she was able to win state for her category for the floor. So that was really good. And she's always going around the house doing her floor routine, just walking around in her head, all of her steps. So she's really dedicated and put the time in. But the same thing applies to even bike racing. So if I'm going to race bikes, I'm going to figure out, okay, how do I do this thing? I started racing bikes back in 2002 or 3. You see Lance on TV when Lance is big, and I want to be Lance. And I remember I got my first bike. It was great. And there's this hill behind my house at the time. I was wearing bike shorts, sneakers, toe clips. So for those of us who grew up in the 80s, 90s, toe clips, you just slide your foot in there and you pull the strap down, you got toe clips. So not even shoes or cleats and pedals. And a flowy T-shirt and a bike helmet, and there was this hill behind my house. It's not like maybe 100 meters, 150 meters, but I was like, fuck yeah, man! I made it up that thing. I'm awesome. Just thinking back, I mean, it's just, and you go down, your T-shirt's in the wind, which is so the antithesis of cycling, where you just don't want any drag and you want everything as tight as possible. But that's kind of the start of it, and then you kind of get around people. I mentioned mentors earlier who know what they're doing. And Bill Cass from cycling. I learned everything I know about cycling pretty much from Bill Cass, and just listening and suffering. And this is how you do this, and this is how you ride in a pace line, and this is how you rotate in and out, and stay back here and attack here. And if you're in a crit, you want to be in the top 10 with 10 laps to go, and just start working your way up every lap. So just learning the process, no different than business, right? There's a process to it. You got to figure out the process. You got to implement the process, and just getting better and better and better. And then you go out there and you compete. And if you win, great, it's your day. If you don't win, you competed.
Do you think that that's one of the reasons why you can stay so consistent with the stuff that's not exciting? Because it seems like you get to a point where it kind of can get stale and routine and not exciting anymore. Do you think that taking on challenges that require a similar discipline outside of work remind you how important that is? Or
I think it just gives you some balance in life, where not everything, because if all your time is just spent in the office working, and you don't have anything outside of the office, you don't have that balance. But I would also say that you can take that, how you apply things in the office, to other areas in your life. So whether it be doing the CrossFit or working out or just setting goals for yourself. I mean, that's I got to set a goal. Okay, what do I want to do? What's my goal going to be? How am I going to? Okay, can I do 10 pull-ups? Okay, that's a goal. All right, I can do 10 pull-ups, and not the fancy the kipping. Those aren't real pull-ups. We're talking the David Griggs type of pull-ups, right?
Yeah.
So you set that goal. I remember when I first started to kind of get away from the cycling thing, just because it takes so much time out of your day. I mean, it's a lot. If you want to be good, you have to train to be good, and it's when you have time to train, you're light, you're skinny. It's a big thing in cyclists. So cyclists love it when you go up to them and say, "Oh, you're looking skinny. You're looking good.
looking fit.
You're looking fit." Yeah. You kind of got a little gaunt face, and I remember looking back in some pictures when I was really, for me, skinny. We're talking 190 or so, which is light. I haven't been that since, I don't know, junior high, maybe high school.
Wow.
But just going, man, I was skinny, like really skinny. That's kind of the goal for a cyclist, is to be skinny. But when you transitioning out of that, and now you put 10 pounds or 15 pounds on, your body changes. I couldn't do a pull-up, man. I got a pull-up bar, and I could not do a pull-up. My body I just hadn't worked those muscles. So I got the straps, okay, little granny straps, where you just have the different color straps, different tension.
Granny straps?
I don't know, what do you call them? I mean, that's close enough, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But you just get in there, you stick your knee in the strap, so it gives you the support. It's like when you do the pull-ups, the machine they have at the gym where you put your knees on the machine, and it's got the weight, so you feel like it can do it. You're like
he says that like I go to the gym,
like you're Superman when you're doing pull-ups. But just put the knee on the little granny strap, and you switch out one strap, you put another strap on the bar, and you just start working your way till eventually you're not using any straps, and all of a sudden you can do a pull-up. So it's just, again, it's no different, right? Setting a goal. Okay, what's my goal? 10 pull-ups. All right, how do I get to that point? I got to start somewhere. So it's going to be painful, but I got to embrace that pain and know that the more I embrace it, the easier it'll get, and eventually there will be a light at the end of the tunnel. I'm going to hit that goal. Same in business. I know I have to make my phone calls. I know I have to see a certain number of people. It's just a numbers game. I know I need to get a certain number of leads if I want to close X amount of deals, and that's what I have to focus on.
So when you set your goal, are you working backwards from that to identify those metrics? So
from a business, yes. For business wise, I don't necessarily have. I needed to close X number of loans goals. I tend to think a little bit bigger in that. For right now, I got a goal that I want to have X amount in the bank. Okay, by the end of the year. So that's right here. I need to save this much more money to get to this point by the end of 2019. So that's always in the front of my mind. It's right here. I mean, always. And so I know that if this is here, I need to do everything else to get to this point. And no different than, I really believe, we've talked about this, Ryan, just the whole visualization. Mm-hmm. The more you think about something, the more you visualize it, it will become your reality. If you think negatively, negative thoughts, life sucks, woe is me, bullshit, life's going to suck. But if you think positively, like, fuck, I'm going to get this. I'm going to get to that point. This is what I want in life for me and my family. Then you're going to have it. But you have to be willing to sacrifice, suffer, deal with the pain to get what you want. And then it's that much sweeter when you do suffer and when you do sacrifice to eventually get to that point.
So you're talking about sacrifice. One thing that you talk to me a lot about, or talk about in general when I hear you, is work-life balance. Mm-hmm. And how you have a lot going on in your personal life, a lot going on in your work life, and you've kind of maxed out this good balance. To you, is work-life balance more of time allocation, or what makes a good work-life balance for you?
Well, I don't have a choice. That's kind of, when you have 4 kids, you got to be at home. And my wife, bless her heart, she's awesome. She takes care of the babies. I've got a 2-year-old and then basically a 1-year-old at this point, and then I've got twins who are older, 12. So there's a lot of shuffling kids from point A to point B, activities, moving them all over the place. So I can't be at work until 6 o'clock at night. And I can't, and I don't like the word can't. I could. I don't like to use can't. That's one thing in my house that I told my kids a couple years ago. We're not going to say can't. I don't want anybody to say can't. All right, because that's negativity. That's self-defeating, mm-hmm. right there. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter what it is. I can't pick that up. I can't just use a different terminology than I can't. Say it's probably a little too heavy. Can you help me? It's different than I can't. Okay, so sure. we strike that from our vocabulary. Sorry, I got on a tangent there.
No, it's good.
So the whole balance piece. If you know, I guess if you know what you want out of your job, find a way to get that done in the amount of time you have available at your job. So we are all basically self-employed. That's where, I mean, we're W-2 employees, but we're basically self-employed people. And a lot of the people who might be listening to this podcast, realtors or whomever, are self-employed. So you have X amount of hours in a day. You can work. That's what I do. So if I'm going to be working from 9 to 4, Thursdays I work from 9 to 3, basically, because I have to be home early so my wife can go teach dance and then I can watch the babies. I need to get as much as I possibly can get done in that, 7 hours, 5 hours, 4, 3,
6.
Help me out, 6.
9 to 3.
I hit it on both ends. I didn't hit them. I'm good with numbers, let me tell you. Just make the most of the hours you have available. I don't think there needs to be a set amount of hours. I don't work 40 hours a week. It's just not in the cards right now for me. But when I do work, I'm working. I'm not fucking around. I'm out on the internet. I'm out walking around the office. I mean, I will take little breaks. I think it's good for morale just to be out and about with your team and your crew mm-hmm. in the office. But when I'm there, I'm working. And I see people who are watching stuff on their other screen and like, dude, go home or just you're here, work. Get out in the field, make some phone calls, do something. But I got to work, man. That's how I roll. I don't want to waste time.
When I do go over to your office and if I'm working, I feel that and it's good. That's good energy to be around, right? Like the last thing I would ever do in your office is go into your office and start BSing with you, because I know that that's not on your schedule to BS you. And you
BS time.
yeah.
But it's good to BS.
But you do schedule time for it. Like you have your meetings once a week where every Monday where your staff gets to talk about their weekend and kind of get some stuff off, and it's dedicated time for that.
Yeah, that was probably one of the biggest things that I did and implemented. It wasn't my idea, and nothing I do is my idea. I don't have any. I'm not a very original guy. I'll just take something that somebody else has done and go, oh, that works. I'm going to do it. So we implemented every Monday where the whole group comes together, and they take a few minutes to share what they did over the weekend. And I really think it's great because you've got some people that don't talk at all in the office, and it forces them to interact with their team members and communicate with their team members. And some people that do talk a lot, but it gives them an opportunity to kind of have a floor and feel important and feel part of something. And we just joke around. It's like a little Aaron Coker comedy hour. I feel like sometimes in there when we're going around the room, just little jabs here and there.
But it does start the day off right.
Oh,
the
yeah.
week off right. And it eliminates the need for me to come ask you how your weekend was at 11 o'clock when you're working.
Yeah.
Right. So it eliminates, I would assume it eliminates a lot of those distractions. Well, good. I like what you said about work-life balance. I know for me, I did the exercise in work-life balance by time blocking. And then I kind of came to the realization that it's not necessarily time blocking. It's not exercise and time blocking. It's am I happy in my personal life and my work life? And watching my wife kind of go through that, she kind of learned that she's happier in her personal life if she's succeeding and hitting goals at work. So it's not necessarily I need to work this many hours and spend this many hours with my family or outside of work, for us anyways. But it's am I succeeding, which makes me happy, because when she was our daughter was like 4, so she scaled back the hours she was working and kind of her responsibilities, and her personal life suffered instead of improving because she wasn't getting that satisfaction of reaching goals and having that success. And so as soon as she made that change where she took on a lot more responsibility and was outside of her comfort zone, she became immediately happier in her personal life.
Oh, yeah.
And so, part of coaching is the work-life balance. And we talked about building champions earlier. I'm getting to a point where I'm realizing that it's not about planning out your life story and all that stuff. It's more, for example, I have a friend. He's super happy in his personal life. He works for the post office, which there's no goal setting in the post office.
The goal is when can I retire?
Yeah, the goal is when you can retire. And for him, that gives him the satisfaction in his personal life. So in a way, he's kind of figured it out. But for me, and I think a lot of people in our job, it's there. You have the entrepreneurial spirit, that drive. You got to have both.
No, I would agree with that wholeheartedly. If I'm not happy at the office, it's going to bleed in to the home life, which is not good. So I need to make sure that I do what I need to do so I can feel good about myself. Because what do we do as human beings? We usually bag on somebody else because of our own insecurities. So if we're not happy about ourselves, we're gonna find a way to pick apart someone else. And I'm guilty of that, and I don't like it about myself. But it's kind of how we are as human beings. So if you can recognize that, number one, and then number two, if you're not getting the results you want at work, okay, find a way to get those results. Take a step back and figure out, what am I doing? What's not working? I want to find happiness in the office because I know if I'm happy at work, I'm going to be happy at home. But I know if I'm not happy at work and I go home, I'm going to be thinking about work. It's hard to separate the two. I mean, you can say all you want about, they work at work. And I mean, you can only control your thoughts so much before they overtake you. And you can only push so much aside, but it's still going to be there. I mean, I know we've all lost sleep over transactions for clients where you wake up and you go, Jesus, I mean, that happened to me last week, 5 in the morning. Ryan's probably 3 in the morning. he's waking up, but you're just sitting there going, oh man, I can't fall back to sleep. You're just thinking about the individual and the deal, or how you're going to find a way to make it work and put this thing together. But yeah, it's personal fulfillment. I think is the key thing. So if you have the fulfillment from work, that's great. If you have, Have you ever struggled with insomnia at all? No, I'd have no problem
No.
sleeping. Yep. No, I can barely keep my eyes open. I read at night and I'm doing this and then finally shut the iPad and go to sleep.
It's been awful for
Really?
about a year.
How
And it's
recently?
just-
Now?
Yeah, all the time.
Really? What
Yeah.
do you think it is the cause?
I don't know.
You know they have things for that nowadays.
Well, yeah. I mean, I use the Costco sleeping pills, and those work, but that makes the morning tough. But my mind just won't turn off, and then so I'll stop thinking about work, and because I'm thinking, I'm just got so much work stuff on my mind that I can't turn it off. So I'll go, okay, I'm not gonna think about work anymore, and then so I start thinking about fly fishing. And then my mind just rolls on fly fishing. So it's not work that's keeping me up.
Just
It's
active mind.
I don't know what it is. And I get home and I'm like, all right, I could go to sleep right now. And then I lay in bed and
And there's so much research out there. You probably know a little bit about this, Ryan and Cody, but just on the value of sleep
I
Oh,
know.
it's huge.
for longevity.
Yeah.
Just getting your, I don't think there's a set number of 8 hours of sleep, right? I think we're all different. Our physiology is a little bit different individually, so some need more and less. I mean, do you feel that you're dragging your ass?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I went through last fall because you do some fasting. I do a fast every spring during Lent, and I skipped it last year, and so I did it in the fall instead. And I remember how well I slept and how easy it was to fall asleep, and it felt so good. And so I thought I found the cure. It's just this fast and health in general.
Just don't
diet.
eat.
Yeah, don't eat. And but I did. I slept awesome, and then I got off the fast, and then I started it again and did not get the same results. So I don't know. I'm gonna go see a sleep doctor.
Have you looked at your diet? I mean, you've broken that down? Because if
It's-
you're on the
yeah.
fast, you're obviously taking stuff out of the body. So maybe there's something that you're putting in the body that's not, your body's not.
I don't know. I thought it was caffeine because I'm a heavy coffee drinker, and when I did my last fast, I cut out coffee too altogether, coffee, alcohol, and food, and I thought that's what it was, but I don't know. But it's not good. Insomnia is not good.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's like last night. I went to bed at 9:30, right? Because we had to get up early this morning. I was a little under the weather. Turned the TV off about 10. Turned the TV on again at 11. Watched the new Motley Crue movie.
Oh,
Watched some Good Eats.
do you have a TV in your bedroom?
Yeah.
Oh, gotta get TV out of
You don't have a TV in your
No,
bedroom?
No, we have 2 TVs. They're both in TV rooms.
Do we have a TV in every room? I have a TV in
come
my
on.
bathroom.
Oh my! Oh, you're dropping a deuce. You got the TV.
No, it's so you can watch Monday Night Football in the bathtub or news in the shower. Do you have a TV in your bathroom?
Not in my bathroom.
Or not in your bathroom, but in your bedroom you do.
Yeah, my wife and I, we go to sleep watching some type of a
TV.
brainless show like The Office or Parks and Rec
Yeah,
or
that's
something,
fun.
just to, like with our job, like if I just lay down there and it's just dead silent, then I'll just start running through my day and what I got going on tomorrow, and it'll be a rabbit hole.
I guess I'm pretty thankful that I don't have any sleep issues.
But do you read every night before you go to bed?
Yeah, I'll read books. Yeah, a lot of books.
I think I'm going to switch that. I think I'm going to turn the TV off and have it on and just try books.
Yeah, that's it works. It works for me. I try the TV in bed, like on the iPad, but I'd just rather read something and just go from there.
So what are you reading now? It's are you you focus on business
all over the
development?
place. So with coaching, they have us read books. So I just finished a book called Pound the Stone. Great story if you're looking for it on Amazon bestseller. But it's kind of a fable type, one of the shorter, tell a little story, but have a lot of messages within the story. That was a good one. I just finished, I think it's called Fall of Giants by Ken Follett. That was a long book, I think almost 852 or 62 pages.
On business development and personal development?
No, just World War I.
Oh, there you go.
Looked at different families, kind of followed a family, some aristocracy in Russia and Germany and England,
Yeah.
and then some lower level classes in Wales and the U.S. and kind of how they all intertwine. And it's a 3-part series.
Did it
so-
cover like the Bolshevik Revolution and that
Oh
kind
yeah,
of stuff?
yeah, all that stuff. Yeah, the Bolsheviks, yeah, they were in there. Yeah,
Yeah.
Trotsky, Lenin were figureheads. Churchill was in there. Lloyd George. So it's all those Woodrow Wilson. So now it's on to the second book, and I don't know if I want to. It's. I got to start what I finish, right? So it's. This one's like 900 plus pages, man. It's So it takes me a month plus to get through something like that.
Yeah.
Of just focusing and reading and sitting down and reading some more. But we did go see Us last night, the movie Us.
Is it a theater movie?
It's a theater movie. Yes. It's a live action film. It's a talkie. Okay. But it's one of the Blur films, from Jordan Peele, like Get Out. You guys didn't see?
Not
It
familiar.
won like best director. He won best director last year for it. You know Key and Peele, who they are?
Listen,
Yeah.
I pay $12 a month for Netflix. I can't afford to go to the movie theater.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, they're the comedians, right?
Yeah, Key and Peele. Yeah, Aaron Balaki.
Yeah.
those guys. I had a client get me a mug, coffee mug. They sent me one. It's that teacher going Aaron, and it's got the picture of him on the mug and kind of
So
on there.
good.
But yeah, Us, man, that's a scary one.
Is it?
Oh.
It's not a comedy, I take.
No.
But they're comedians.
Jordan Peele, yeah, they did the show, but Jordan Peele wrote, produced, and directed this movie. So
Gotcha.
it's a horror genre.
And is he the skinnier guy?
No, he's the shorter,
The shorter,
yeah,
chubbier guy?
darker, yeah, glasses, one with glasses.
Yeah, I don't do scary movies.
Oh, I don't.
There's a scary movie?
Oh yeah. The first 45 minutes probably where I wanted to leave. I was like, I'm looking at my wife. Why the hell we come here, man? This is stupid. Let's just go.
Scared.
Yeah. It's just suspenseful. You're just sitting there waiting to, okay, what's going to happen next? And then eventually the kind of story opens up a little bit, and it's not as bad. But man,
Yeah, no, not a scary movie guy. Did watch the new Motley Crue documentary. It just came out on Netflix. I'm usually able to pull like business lessons and life lessons out of movies.
What are you going to pull out of that?
Nothing.
The mainline and the JD, just
Yeah,
the stuff.
it was kind of like the Queen movie. Did you see the Queen movie?
Oh, Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah.
Oh, that was great.
So it's very similar feel. The new Motley Crue one. It's really, do not watch it with your kids in the room.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah.
Is it a doc? It's a doc.
Opening
or
scene.
It's a doc. Yeah.
It's just like Bohemian Rhapsody.
Oh, so it's actually actors?
Yeah, actually actors.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, and I think they did it the same where like in Bohemian Rhapsody they played the Queen music when they were singing.
Mm-hmm.
So they like were lip singing in the movie to
Gotcha.
the actual music. I think it's the same in this movie, but yeah,
That was a different time, 80s, and hair bands.
yeah.
What did I hear? I read a story that what did he do? One of the guy who started Megadeth, which is
Dave Mustaine,
Yeah, he was part of. He was in.
Metallica.
Yeah, and he got kicked out.
Yeah.
When they're going to record an album, they said, "Hey, it's time for you to go." I didn't know that.
Yeah, well, because he had major drugs and alcohol problem.
Okay.
And that was they're like, you can't, you're done.
I still think he's not happy about. I think the moral was I think he's still not happy in life about that whole Metallica
No.
thing, and it's still driving him.
It's crazy because Megadeth is one of the most successful speed metal bands of all time.
They got their own plane, right? And it
Yeah.
says- yeah.
They're on tour right now. I'm going this summer to see them open for Ozzy.
How about that?
But yeah, because Metallica came out that documentary in like 2003 or 4. What's it called? Saint Anger, I think.
Don't know.
But if you haven't seen it, can you try pulling it up? I want to get it right.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen it, you should watch it. It's Metallica, this hardcore badass group of guys, and they bring a counselor with them on the road, like a psychologist,
Yeah.
to help keep them all together.
Uh-huh.
And it's the most unmetal thing you've ever
Well,
seen.
behind the scenes.
Yeah. And it's just like, grow up. You know, you got a counselor trying to help them talk through their problems and their anger towards each other. And then Dave Mustaine comes in and with the counselor there talks about
Is it the,
some kind of monster.
Some kind of
That's
monster.
it. Yeah. Talks about getting kicked out of the band. And I don't want to say he cried, but it was like he was on the verge of tears talking about this and how much it hurt him to be kicked out of the band. But at the same time, if he wasn't kicked out of the band, we wouldn't have had Megadeth.
Or Metallica.
Or Metallica.
Yes. Who did they replace him with?
James Hetfield.
Oh, there you go. Right? Yeah. Yeah. I love him. I don't know. When I work out, if it's a hard workout, I'll do the Metallica Essentials from iTunes. That's my background music. One is probably one of my favorite Metallica songs. It's about 7 minutes. So if I'm doing an interval on the trainer, I know it's kind of split up into 3 sections. The song is. So I know wherever I'm in the song, how much time I have left, and just sit there and listen to music and suffer.
When I was going through this big routine in 2016. 2016 was a great year in business for me, and I'd get to look at the office every morning at 7, and from 7 to 8:30 was my time where I could work on anything I wanted to work on, right? And my routine was a rock star, sit down and put on Foreclosure of a Dream by Megadeth. And just because they sing about foreclosures and the pain of foreclosures and what it's done in America and everything. This is during the 80s, the height of high interest rates. Yeah. And but that was my deal. It was the same. I knew about how long it was, and every morning I would listen to Foreclosure. There it is, Foreclosure of a Dream.
Oh, come on.
How to buy and find foreclosed homes. Oh my goodness gracious! There's so many programs out there like this. Get rich quick, right? Give me $5,000 and I will show you how to get rich.
So
and retire.
I think you already answered this. You said income, savings, charity, right? And maybe that's the answer. Is why is success important to you? Do you think those three things define why being successful is important to you?
I think they're a part of it. I don't think money can define success. I don't think how much money you make or how much money you save is a definition of success. I think everybody has a different definition of success. Mine might be different than someone else's.
What's yours?
Of success? Ooh, now you're making me think. I should have done a little preparation. I didn't prepare for this question.
Well, it's the hunt for success, man.
All
right. Well, okay. So you can do it in this order. You can tell us your definition, or you can think about it and tell us the buffalo story. You can do it in any order you want.
Do you mean the bison? The American bison over there? Oh, I love it. I got so excited when I saw Tatanka. I think my definition of success would be setting a goal for yourself and attaining that goal. All right. So it doesn't necessarily have to be the top producer having the most money, but it's just setting a goal and attaining it. Okay, going through the struggles to get to that point, because there's always going to be struggles when it comes to hitting your goals, but it feels so good. This is what I tell my kids, and it's this was a big thing a couple years ago. Carol Dweck Mindset, the book is, or the other one about her book more so. Just about having that growth mindset of not being afraid to fail. I think for the longest time, parents want their kids to be perfect, and they have to do the best, and they have to be the best, and they cannot make any mistakes. But you have to realize that those who make mistakes and they learn from mistakes are probably going to be a little bit better off than those who don't learn how to make mistakes, whose parents are always there for them, catching them when they fall. So if you can understand the fact that, hey, in order for me to grow, I need to learn from, it's age old, right? Nothing changes over time. It's always the same old stories, but just learn from your mistakes and get better each time. Get up. It's like a kid learning how to walk. They're going to fall. Like Didi yesterday, poor guy. I let him go a little bit too early. Didi's our son, and he did a face plant, and those hands didn't get out in time on the carpet. And it was one of those for about 10 seconds, 15 seconds, kicking the legs, but nothing's coming out. But then just get him up. He's okay after a little bit, and just get him start him walking again, and that's how it is. I think Blair fell. I remember when the twins, Avery, we were at a pool at a friend's house, and we were all right there. And I looked over, and she's gone. So she had stepped off a step and went under. It was only for a few seconds, but got her out, and then the first thing I did, get right back in, jump in. Okay, so you had a failure, get up, do it again. So for me, that's it. I think that kind of sums up what success means. Is just setting a goal for yourself, and then achieving that goal.
Well, that definition really goes kind of full circle to how we started talking about your discipline and routines and doing the boring, not the non-exciting stuff, right? So I like that a lot. So buffalo.
Oh, you want to tell the buffalo story?
If you want.
My employees hate this.
You don't have a patent on it, do you?
I do not have a patent. It comes from a book, so I can't take credit for it. I think the book is Take the Stairs by Rory something or other. Great book, though. I really enjoy that book. One of my favorites. But the story goes that when a storm rolls over the Rockies heading west to east, so heading east, what the cow will do when the cow sees the storm in the plain states coming, the cow will run from that storm. But eventually that storm catches up with the cow. And now the cow's stuck in the storm, and he's still running, but he's still stuck in the storm. So what the cow has done, he's sacrificed short-term gain for long-term pain, right? But the buffalo, or the bison, as we call it, because buffalo are not they're not indigenous to the States. They're bison in the States. Buffalo are in Africa and Asia.
That takes some guts to
it's actually
to correct us in a museum.
It's actually bison. If you
Is that the technical
it's
that
bison,
species?
bison.
Okay, yeah. So it's the Asian water buffalo, and I think there's a Cape buffalo. I think are the other two big ones. But what the bison does is it runs into the storm. Okay, so instead of running from the storm, it runs into that storm, and eventually the storm passes over that bison, and he's in the clear. So he's sacrificed short-term pain for long-term gain. And that's all business is. If you can just deal with the short-term pain with the vision for that long-term gain, good things will happen.
I love it. It's good. I like it every time you tell it.
A lot of times I'll incorporate sound effects too, but
I was surprised you did.
A little moo. I don't know what a bison or buffalo sounds like, so you'll figure that one out.
Oh, dude, it's throaty.
Is it really throaty?
It's a growl. It's a growl. Yeah. One thing I was going to ask is kind of. We've been talking about love languages, personality types. Cody and I have talked about a lot about this in the past on other episodes, and the way we set goals is very different. And I was actually thinking about it this morning, not even related to the podcast. I like to set more attainable goals, but they're big, but they're attainable for me. My brain can't handle these just uber, to me, unrealistic goals. Like I can't handle that. Cody likes to set these really big, audacious goals, and then if he comes up short, he's okay with that. Whereas I'm not okay if I don't hit my goals. So I don't set them so low towards like, that was easy, check it off. You seem like the type where you're gonna set a really big goal and still try to accomplish it, but be okay if you come up a little bit short.
Yeah, I think that's the growth mindset there. It's okay to fail. It's okay not to hit your goal, but I think you're selling yourself short. Not to say you are, but I think if you set your goal to something that it's easily attainable, that's something you can't, that you're not going to fail. All right, you're giving yourself an out on that. So I'm gonna.
No, and I think I'm somewhere in the middle of that though.
Yeah. And I'm not saying you personally, Ryan. Yeah. I'm just saying you as
it's just it's interesting that everybody's going to be a little bit different in the way they're going to try to accomplish a task.
Yeah, but it goes back to why. What are you doing it for? So if you have a reason why, okay, then it makes it easier to have that big goal in mind, because we can be very self-limiting in our thoughts, in our beliefs, and we can be our own worst enemy. We can be our own worst enemies, right?
Be your own worst enemy?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Jesus. Let me tell you a story about that one day. Last year. Whew, that was the worst. So you can be your own worst enemy. So I think that even if you set a big goal, it's there. It's that visualization piece. It's hard to. Our society wants us to think that money is not important and you can't set monetary goals, and I think that's bullshit, because if you have money, you've got options, and if you've got options, you can do things with your money, and if you've got money, you can do things, you can help other people out. And I've been fortunate, not that I have a lot of money, but I've been fortunate in this career to be somewhat successful, and it's given me the opportunity to help people out directly, and I know I've made a big impact on their life because of what I've been able to do in this job over the years. And if you can think of it like that, then money is not a bad thing. Money is it gives you the choice to help people, to help your family, to help other family members in need. That may help you drive you to that why, to get that closer to why am I doing this? Why is it important for me to make X? Why is it important for me to make $1 million? Or why is it important for me to make $500,000? Or why is it important for me to have $100,000 in cash? Okay, there's reasons why. So if you can define that in your mind, then it's easier for you to become your reality. You start thinking it, you start visualizing it. I tell you guys, if you just think about it, it will become your reality. I mean, the more you think, you come create an obsession in your mind, like this is what I want and this is why I want this, and it's always there, everything else will come easier.
I think that's exactly what Nikki Sixx's girlfriend told him in the beginning.
Oh, see?
I swear to God, I think that's the one correlation there with the Motley Crue documentary.
The video that we're going to watch today for Midweek Motivator, the guest, and I won't do any spoiler alerts, but she talks about saying, like, she didn't say, I want to be a millionaire every single day. Every single day she said, I am a millionaire. And, you know, through her journaling, just saying, putting out there ultimately what she wanted to be, but she spoke it as in present tense.
Yes, absolutely. Again, not past, not future, present.
How do you feel about affirmations?
Like Stuart Smiley. Gosh darn it. People like me. Can you pull that up, Brian?
Yeah.
Good old Al Franken. I think it's important. I personally, I came up with one. I read the book Tools of Titans by Tim Ferriss. I don't know how I came across it. And then in the course of reading that thing front to back, he talked about his journaling. So I started doing his journaling. Okay, so I got a little notebook out and I just kind of copied what he did. And then all of a sudden, one of my coaches sent me what's called the 5-minute journal. And I opened it up, like, what the fuck, man? This is the exact same thing I've been doing in a notebook on my own, and it's all out there for you. So, 3, before I came here, every morning, 3 things I'm grateful for, 3 things I want to accomplish this day, and then an affirmation. So for me, I had a hard time initially being proud of myself. Okay, so I made a point of telling.
Are you making that up?
No, I'm being serious. No, I'm being serious. Just accepting what I have, and accepting that what I've done is good enough. So it's just that was my little thing, is it's not being good enough.
Well, that's a big struggle that people have.
Yeah. So I write down, I'm proud of the man I become. All right, because sometimes I think the negative thoughts can slip in, or you can
absolutely.
Oh, I got divorced and I didn't do a good enough job for my kids, and on my second marriage, got divorced when my twins were. They were 1. They're now 12. So there can be a lot of negativity that creeps in. But by doing that, that just tells me, Aaron, you've done a good job in life. Okay, you are good enough. And just telling myself that I am good enough. I've done. So yeah, I strongly believe in the affirmation piece. Is that something you guys do or write down? Or?
I did the Miracle Morning routine for about 6 months, which for me to commit to something like that, 6 months is a long time. I think that was a success. But yeah, I would do it in the parking lot before I go into the office. Do some affirmations. I've gotten away from it, and I think I'm going to start doing it again.
Yeah.
And the fact that you do it every morning, even this morning, right, where you had to drive across the river to come over here, you still made time to do your 3 affirmations.
Yeah.
Or was it affirmations or 3 things you're grateful for?
So 3 things I'm grateful for, and then 3 things I want to accomplish today, and then my affirmation. And then the way you end it is, I don't do it at night, but I do it in the next morning. But then 3 great things that happened, 3 amazing things that happened today, and then what could you have done better?
And you do that the following morning.
Yeah. Or you can do it in bed if you want to, but I just do it in the following morning. But then I'll sit there sometimes like, what happened?
Yeah, that doesn't sound like a good idea for me.
What happened yesterday that was good? I'll sit there for about 5 minutes, and try to think about what it might have been. But it helps. I mean, I found that you can. If I don't do it and then I'm hurried and I let other things creep in, then it just ruins the day. One thing I love to do is when I go in the door in the office, I come in with a smile. I come in happy, and I come in having fun. Okay, I like. There's certain people that that we work with that they're tough to crack. They are tough to crack, but my job is to crack them, to make them smile, make them laugh. Because I know if they're happy and they're smiling and laughing, even if things are tough, okay, it's gonna be okay. Everything's gonna be okay. We're gonna get through this.
Awesome. What do you got up here?
Stuart?
Oh
gosh.
Oh yeah, we can hit this screen capture real quick.
Oh yeah.
We've gone high tech. We've figured out how to play the audio.
Oh, in the mic. Oh man.
But not necessarily recording.
Of happiness. I refuse to beat myself up. I am an attractive person. I am fun to be with.
The thing about affirmations is you feel goofy when you start doing it. Like you feel like him.
Yeah.
But then it does set your mind. It's amazing how it changes your mindset.
Yeah. Is there a reason you stopped doing the Miracle Morning? Or when were you doing it, actually?
This was 2015.
Okay. And then
I stopped.
Why?
I just fell off the wagon.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard. And for me, people say that you veer off of good habits or you veer off. For me, it's just I skip once and then I'm done.
Gotcha.
That's why the best diet for me is fasting. It's not because it's healthy, because it's not healthy. Although
fasting's great.
They're trying to say it's more healthy, but
fasting's awesome.
It drives Ryan nuts when I do it because I would eat just once a day.
Yeah. Look up a guy, Jason Fung, Fung.
There's a lot more studies going on about the intermittent fasting
Yeah,
and whatnot
that's
right now.
When I started, it wasn't the whole good to fight cancer and prevent cancer and all that stuff. That was this. I started it 7 years ago.
Oh, yeah, that's before any of this.
before
hit.
before the fads.
And
Yeah.
the only reason I would do it is because that was the best diet for me, because
The not eating day.
the not eating, because it was just really simple
Uh-huh.
and it was easy to stick with.
Yeah. Eat it for a week?
No, I would do it from Super Bowl through Easter.
Well, hold on. No. I mean, no. Super Bowl through Easter is a long time. Cause
He ate dinner.
okay, so
But
one meal a day.
He would
One
get
meal
all
a
of
day.
his calories in at night.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, because I've done. I usually do 3-day fast once a quarter, and I've done a 5-day. And
That's tough.
That was hard. Let me tell you, that was. Ooh. But once you get past that certain point, it's kind of, it's okay. It's usually that second day is the toughest day. First day is not bad at all. It's kind of you're excited, you're motivated, you're ready to go. It's like marathon. I've never run a marathon, but maybe I imagine marathon training. No way, that's on my to-don't list. I've got a to-don't list, but. Yeah, marathon training. You're excited. You're getting out there. You're running miles. You're feeling really good. Then you get hurt eventually. That's Tuesday is when you get hurt. Training for a marathon when it comes to fasting, it's tough. That second day is tough.
Yeah, doing a multi-day fast would be hard. But when you do the long-term once-a-day fast, there is this compounding effect when you get to those last 2 weeks where you do feel like you're dying, even though you're eating once a day.
Really?
Oh, yeah. I mean, my brain slows down. It's just that those last 2 weeks.
Really?
That's when you just want to give in.
Yeah. Usually, for the most part, I don't usually eat until 3 or 4. It's only my first meal.
Maybe it was for me because my meal a day
What were you eating?
changes.
Uh-huh.
Right? The first couple weeks, it's just hamburgers and you're trying to get calories in. And then every year I do it, my cravings change where I'll like be craving tuna or I'll crave like protein. I could tell my body's telling me to eat certain things. And then I kind of get to a point where my meals just get small. I'm not hungry. It's hard to eat that meal.
Really?
And it just gets tough.
Interesting.
This last time you implemented a few other big changes.
Yeah. Well, and yeah, this last fall, I always do no alcohol, just because I can't drink and eat one meal a day. It's just too easy to. If I drink too much one night, that next morning not eating breakfast, so I just take the alcohol out more for just to make it easier to eat one meal a day, and then the no coffee.
No coffee. I couldn't do that.
Yeah.
I mean, I probably could, but it wouldn't feel good.
I felt great, and that was the only time I slept really well in the last year. But my whole point of all this was having that self-control is easy if I execute it 100%. If I execute it 99, then I immediately fall off. Right? So I think that's what happened with the Miracle Morning. Same with the Lent or the fasting. If I have one cheat day,
It's
done.
like an alcoholic, right? You just have a little sip and then it's downhill from there. Just got to go.
But it is great exercise in self-discipline and self-control, and I do see it flow over into work for sure when I'm doing that fast.
I mean, there's so many things we can do to improve ourselves out there. It's just pick one and stick with it. I'd say there's a lot of different direction.
So how do you avoid getting caught up in all the hype and ideas, and you go to a conference and they're throwing everything at you, and you stay in your box?
Again,
I do it. I throw stuff out at you. I did it with the other day. I said, you got to get in touch with Larry Hales.
And I like that. That's a great idea. Yeah, I think that's awesome. So just you mentioned at the very beginning, the shiny thing, doing the latest, greatest shiny object. Dude, fuck that shit, okay? It's just the basics. Yeah, people work with who they know, like, and trust. Right? If you've got there's a show I talk about. It's called The Prophet. It's on, I don't know if it's still on CNBC or not. Marcus Lemonis, he's the CEO of, what's the name of it? Camping World, I believe. But he had a TV show where he'd go in and help invest and fix failing businesses. And he had the 3 things the 3 Ps you would call it to any successful business, which is people, product, and process. So it's just having that process and just executing the process. And with technology and the internet, I'm not like, hey, let's go back to the horse and buggy, but I do believe that people want to work with people at the end of the day. All right. So if people still want to work with people when they're spending their money, you've got to have a process in place to cater to those people. So I don't buy into the Zillow leads and buying this and doing that, because the amount of time it takes to work that subset of leads and the return, it's not even worth it. I mean, you could spend that time prospecting on that spear who is going to help you and help you get more leads, as opposed to paying for crap. I just do the basics. It's the basics, man. It's the best. I mean, I'm sure we don't know how much Kobe Bryant worked. Or look at James Harden. I gotta hate the guy, but his footwork. I guarantee you that guy in the off season, all he is doing is working on that step back over and over and over. And the Euro, before that, perfecting the Euro step over and over and over and over. Now everybody does the Euro step. And probably before that, it was Manu doing the Euro step and some of the other guys who came over. But just the basics. I mean, just work on something and do it really well. That's all. But we get too caught up on, I'm going to try this now because this didn't work, so I'm going to try that. No, that's not going to work, so I'm going to try this. There's no secret. I guarantee you, there's no secret out there at all. Just CrossFit, Ryan. You just have to show up and do the workout.
All I did today was show up.
Yeah, just show up and do the workout. Simple as that.
Well, way to bring it back full circle.
There you go. Hakuna Matata.
I know. Thanks for coming on. If people want to get a hold of you, what's the best way to do it?
Google.
Okay.
I don't know. Google me, Aaron Coker, or I don't know.
If you're looking to get a home loan from Aaron Coker, just hit up Cody or I.
Cody, they'll be sure to get you in touch. No, it's you can just Facebook. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I think I'm on LinkedIn.
And one reason I like working with you, and we're in an industry where we can work anywhere we want, right? Is your openness to share everything.
Yeah.
And I think that that makes for a really good work environment, because we all work in work environments where we look at our coworkers as competitors. We've been there, and
No way.
and working with like-minded people is awesome. So,
Yeah,
people want to learn more about core coaching. Is there what?
Just Google core coaching, I think, or core training. Maybe I think it might be core training is what it could be. But yeah, it's changed my life. Yeah, for sure.
Well, I know we're excited about it. We're about a month in. I think I've had 3 calls, so 6 weeks in.
Yeah, 6 weeks probably. Yeah, good stuff.
Well, thanks again. The Hunt for Success podcast.com.
Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Give us some likes, shares, comments. Help us out.
Perfect. All right. Well, we'll see you guys next time.
Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate
Thank
it. Take care.